Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Harry.
And I'm Matthew, and as you can see behind us, the rather sleek looking figure is Lotus's all-new hyper-electric GT.
That's right, it is the Emeya S. Hyper electric, hyper GT, hyper Lotus. And I'm hyper excited. Come on, let's have a look at this.
This is the Emeya, Lotus's second ever fully electric vehicle. And as is the theme with their electric vehicles, it's not just an electric vehicle. It is a hyper EV. And well, this Emeya, as you'll see later on the drive, very much stands up to that claim. Starting from the front, yes, it is a new Lotus. It is part of their more aligned with their Electra rather than an Emira. And you can certainly see that it belongs to the family from the front. The way the headlights are, the sculpture of the bonnet, and the various vents and things around it is, yes, an electric Lotus, but still keyword on the Lotus, as you can see from the badge there. Now, make no mistake, this may be a family sedan, but it is still a performance vehicle, and a performance vehicle needs cooling. So you'll notice that the vents down the bottom here are actually sort of triangular, and they open and close according to how much air the car needs and how you've been driving it, basically. It's dotted with vents and channels for air and cooling all around the place. So these vents down here, very big, and similarly down the side as well. Notice also the split headlight design, not just up here, but also down the bottom there. Another nod to the Electra and that sort of family of Lotus. While the Emeya might look sleek and very performance car-like, it is actually a significantly large vehicle in terms of size. Well, not significantly, but it is surely a large vehicle. So the length, it measures in at just over 5.1 meters. Width-wise, it's just over 2 meters, and then the height is about 1.4. So yes, a long and quite wide car, but because of that low roofline, it makes it look a lot sleeker and a lot more performance-like. Performance car like this firstly needs to have a paint and a spec to match, as well as the wheels to do so. And this color on our review model is the Fire Glow Orange. I think a spectacular color that Lotus has done. And as you'll see on a closer look, it is actually very metallic under light. So all that I can say is it's just magnificent and the right color for a car like this. The wheels on this particular model are the 21-inch option, but you can customize that based on your choice, and also, I guess, how you've selected the paint too. As you can see there from the size of the front brakes, significant stopping power as well. And once again, those calipers, you can select the color of those to reflect your other choices with the car. As I move further back, you'll see that the roofline has a very sort of distinctive look to it, and it slopes all the way down into that spoiler there. And in between, we have much more sculpting of the body to guide air all the way around and really keep it planted when you're in performance mode, let's say. Now, as the fluid and sculpted lines of the Emeya bring both the air and you to the rear via those vents and lines and things, it really makes you focus on the similarities and the identifiable traits that this shares with the Electra. Make no mistake, the Emeya very much identifies with the Electra as a member of the Lotus family and the Lotus Hyper Electric family, and you can certainly see that from the rear. For starters, it's got that trademark LED light strip that runs right across the back under the Lotus badge. Note also the LiDAR sensor that's hidden under here. As you'll also see, I have the spoiler lifted up. This is on height number 2 out of 3 different options, and this is the highest you can have while the car is stationary and at low speeds. Note also the fact that there's a second spoiler underneath there just for additional downforce. Yes, this is an extremely quick car and it needs all the downforce it can get. Plus, I think having the wing up makes it look a lot more attractive and a lot more eye-catching, certainly, as a bypasser. Open the boot and it's still practical at the same time, because you have 500 something liters of trunk space underneath here, 34 liters of trunk space in the front, and then if you fold the seats down, you've got something like 1400 liters of boot space or trunk space to play with. So very much practical from that sense as well. This charging flap plugs you in directly to that 102 kilowatt hour battery that sits on the floor of this Emeya. And what that gives you access to power-wise is 450 kilowatts of power. Yes, that is 600 horsepower in a family sedan like this. You get 710 Newton meters of torque. And basically, that catapults this thing from a standstill to 100 k's an hour in 4.2 seconds. The Emeya R can do it even quicker. It'll eventually top out at 250 kilometers per hour, so it's no slouch off the line or just in general. This is a proper hyper GT car. Anyway, enough of that. It is also hyper technical in its interface and its abilities, and Harry will talk you through what's on the inside.
And the interior of the Emeya is as hyper as the outside is. There's not a single surface in here that is not amazing to touch and interact with. It is a really, really special place to be in. You see an amazing mixture between the leather parts on the dashboard and then this beautiful stitching that separates it to the parts that have this sort of suede finishing on the doors and even the pillars and the headliners, making it for a really isolated and very quiet interior. As you move around to other parts of the cabin, one of the big things that stand up is the fit and finish. So they made an amazing job of mixing the carbon fiber to the alloys and then back to the leather in a way that just makes it for a very luxury offering. Not too long ago, I was inside of a friend's Elise, and it's really amazing to see that a brand that once built the Elise is now building something that has everything like this. So there is no place where they skimped on the quality of the materials, and it was something that really impressed us. You go from the grills on the surround system that we absolutely loved, even though there is one level that goes above it. You have this massive sunroof that goes across the whole roof and mixes this sort of milky perception that lets the right amount of light in, and you basically don't have to do anything with it. And these amazing seats that in this trim level, they are heated, ventilated, and they have an amazing massage function. Alongside all of this, not only do you get the luxury from the materials and the way that they have been put together, but the technology experience is also very impressive. So let's have a look at that. And the technology experience is dominated by this screen that you have here in front of in the middle of the center console. And it is, no question, one of the best technology implementations that we have reviewed recently. It is very snappy, it is very easy to use, and I'm really glad that it is for a car that has tried to push the luxury offering, that they didn't forget about anything of the technology. So for example, if I bring up my windows and then I close the door, you can see that all these things reflect here inside of the screen, and it is very, very responsive. Of course, all of this here is being simulated in real time, so it just shows how much processing power there is in this amazing unit in here. It has a very easy navigation that you can use by going through apps that will do the things that you usually expect from a car like this, with charging settings, stuff to do with the parking, and everything to do with the projection of your mobile phone as well, including CarPlay and Android Auto, of course. If you go back to the actual car settings, there will be things that you can do in here with the driving modes that we will cover a little bit more when we actually get this on the move. But then, of course, ride height has to do with some of the driving capabilities of the car. But if you want to go into customization, there is quite a bit of stuff that you can do that not only includes the things that the car is monitoring all the time, but also the things that you can customize to really make this Emeya suit your lifestyle. In terms of the sound, as I said, it is a really, really amazing CAF sound system that we have tested and really enjoyed. And there are more things that you can do with equalization and even how you want the surround to work here for you. And one of the big talking points for the car has to do with the display. So not only do you get this here in front of the center console, but you also get sort of identical screens that are in front of the driver and the passenger. They don't have as much customization as this one here, even though their performance is amazing. So we will talk a little bit more about them when we are on the drive. And the drive it is, because it is, at the end of the day, a hyper GT that we are hyper excited to get on the road. So we might as well go around and do just that.
So the Lotus Emeya, and specifically the Emeya S, actually is a very special car to me. So while I was up in England earlier this year, I was very fortunate to go to the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And over there, my last memory of the Emeya S was doing 110 miles an hour going up the Goodwood Hill climb. So just for reference, that's just under 200 kilometers an hour. And it was just incredible speed. The way this not only attacked that hill climb, but also the way it went around corners. And a few months have passed, and I'm reunited with the Emeya S once again, and it feels equally as special, not just to drive quickly, although I haven't been going anywhere near those sorts of speeds, but more so just as a place to be. And I think for Harry, this is Harry's first experience in this nature of Lotus, and I think he, safe to say, feels the same way.
Yeah, no question. I think it's one of the best ways to summarize the whole experience. I was the same way you were lucky enough to have one experience. I was unlucky enough that I was back in my home country when you guys had the previous Hyper SUV from Lotus. So now I'm so happy that I get to experience the Hyper GT from them, because, I mean, what's not to love about this? It has so much performance, and it looks so cool from the outside, and it is such a special place to be on the inside as well.
Absolutely. It's not just an extremely luxurious, well-designed machine, but the way it goes around corners, I think, is just incredible. The grip that it has, the balance. I just did a 35 corner at about double the recommended speed just now, and the car's not even breaking a sweat. And it just does so comfortably, shifting its weight around, keeping the passenger sort of from swaying from side to side. And it really is, certainly in the handling sense, very much a Lotus in the way that it goes around corners. It puts a smile on your face, and even for an electric vehicle, feels like it has character and engagement.
Yeah, I like the way that you put it, because if there is one Lotus thing about this car, is definitely on the way that it is able to perform, and the way that maybe a car of this size and this weight was not supposed to.
Absolutely. But then when you don't want to attack corners and you don't want to be, a bit maniacal about the way you drive, it's just such a luxurious, comfortable cruiser. A GT car, as they call it. You've got so much of room back there for your luggage for a weekend away or a holiday. You've got 520 kilometers or so of WLTP range. You've got the hyper fast charging and an amazing audio system, the massaging seats. It's just the list of luxuries in here just goes on and on.
You ticked all boxes, right? Because it's addressing all the things that you would expect from a luxury offering. And there is also some of the intangibles as well. It is so quiet. It feels so special. It is so well put together that if you really want to ease off and have something that is a little bit more relaxing, it delivers in droves. I've been using the massaging function all the time. Even the cooling, the ventilation of the seats is so well implemented and very, very quiet. And even if it wasn't the case, the sound system just fills the cabin so well that those 500 and something kilometers of range, you can just drive through all of that and not feel tired at the end of it.
But then when you want to, you just do a double click of the paddle, put the car into sport mode. It even tightens up the bolsters on you, and then basically just plant your foot, and it doesn't need to take a breath at all, and you're way into sort of what feels like hypersonic or supersonic speeds, and certainly your gut feels quite the punch from the car not taking a breath. Yes, it has that party trick that all EVs have of being extremely quick in a straight line, but I think where this car truly becomes a Lotus is when you're faced with corners rather.
Yeah. So I really liked the way that they calibrated the delivery of the power, because it's not that neck-breaking delivery at first. It feels very smooth, and at the point where you usually expect EVs to start dropping a little bit of their delivery, it just keeps going. I think that this is more impressive than just trying to do that super instant delivery. So this doesn't grow old. It will be something that is way easier to sort of have on the daily, and I think that suits the character of the car way better.
Absolutely. And we talk about character and driving this thing around in the inner city suburbs, in traffic, all of that. Yes, it's a Hyper GT, a sedan, but it really attracts the eyes of so many people. You know, you get people getting out their phones, taking photos. You know, the color, especially this orange, is just, I think, as I said before, spectacular. In the way that it, under sunlight, you know, shows off its metallic flakes. It, you know, really changes different shades, and that makes people look, and, you know, this is completely the right spec for the car, I think.
Yeah, I think that they nailed on the configuration for this press car. It's not a car that flies under the radar by no means, even though it doesn't have a shouty engine or anything of the sort. This amazing paint job draws a lot of attention, and I think it's sort of what you want when you're going for something like this, right?
Absolutely. The Emeya is anything but a regular car in any, I think, part of it. But then you really need to pay and respect a car like this by giving it the spec it deserves, if you like.
Yeah. And the same is to be said about the interior, right? Because I think that you can have this in more subdued colors, or of course different configurations in terms of the color of the leathers and a few finishing touches throughout the cabin. But I really like the way that they did this gray with the carbon bits and everything. I think that it just makes the whole experience feel a little bit more special. And I think, as I said on the interior bit, everything that you interact with is so well put together and so tactical. When there are no door handles per se, it's just a button that you click and then it opens the doors. Same thing for the window switches and all the switch gear here at the middle. It just has that extra level. It feels like a rifle trigger because it's so clicky and so nice to interact. And it's probably the same that you feel from the steering wheel as well.
Absolutely. So playing around with the buttons here, they're all sort of metal tipped. You know, the finishing is just amazing. The feedback that you get, the clicking from all aspects of your interaction with the car. You know, make no mistake, this is a very high quality car in terms of the fit and finish.
And it's not like you're skimping on anything as you are on the back seats as well, because there is heaps of space because of this super long wheelbase that comes with the fact that it is an EV. But the seats are as comfortable as they are in front in here. Of course, you miss on the massage, but you can also recline. You get a screen in the middle where you can customize a lot of stuff for the experience and change a few settings for the back as well. And it is a very relaxing place, and you get to enjoy a lot of the light that comes through the sunroof.
So there you have it, the Lotus Emeya S. While different to what we know from Lotus traditionally, I think this builds upon what the Electra impressed us all with in terms of its performance, in terms of its luxury, its offering in general. And I think the Emeya does all of this, being more low to the ground, more like a traditional Lotus, if you like, sporty in its appeal and design. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the way this thing goes around corners, and in that sense, it truly is a Lotus. Otherwise, it is an extremely well-appointed luxury vehicle.
No question. Of course, we have to come to terms with what Lotus is putting out in the market right now. That is probably the only thing to be off question at this point, because it looks super special inside, super special in the outside. It is definitely a hyper GT. There is no question about that. And probably if I were thinking about a luxury EV, this would be on my short list, no question.